Next speaker, Mrs. Rezvan Moghadam, women's rights activist. She will speak about women in elections, the role of women in elections. Greetings and thanks to all of you who participated, and also Südwind that invited me. Each member of the panel spoke about one aspect of the elections with regard to the political structure and ways it is being held. I will speak about women that constitute half of the Iranian population. After the victory of constitutional revolution in 1906, one of the main demands of progressist women was the right to vote for women. But at that time, women were deprived of the right to be elected or to elect. Those who opposed the right of women to vote were mostly ayatollahs and clerics. They believed that giving the right to vote to women will entail political instability, corruption, and social anarchy. As religious personalities who had big influence opposed women's vote, despite this influence, finally in 1962, for the first time, Iranian women acquired the right to participate and to be elected in elections. Khomeini was one of the opponents of the right of women to participate in elections. Even in Rome, he encouraged the religious students in Rome to wear shrouds and demonstrate against the right of women to vote. But after the 1979 revolution and the establishment of the Islamic Republic, he changed his mind, and women actually continued to keep the right to vote. After the 1979 elections, in accordance with the Article 4 of the Constitution, all laws adopted by the Parliament should be compatible with Islamic criteria. What does this mean? With regard to women, we know that women and men are not equal in accordance with Islamic criteria. So women will be deprived of a number of social rights. As the Islamic Republic is based on is a theocratic system based on Shia jurisprudence, being a Shia is one of the fundamentals of the system. So we don't have legal equality in elections. Not all citizens have equal rights. And women who are not Shia Muslims and those who are atheists, they are deprived of their electoral rights. So atheists, if they can, they have the right to elect, they have no right to be elected. I go back to the 1979 revolution. The electoral rights of women has always been a challenge and an issue between women and the system of Islamic Republic. In 1979, the Islamic Republic needed the female vote, actually, because they sought as to pass and confirm the establishment of the Islamic Republic. Because women were an important part of the society, they needed their vote to justify the establishment of the new system. So that's why Mr. Khomeini, who had opposed in 1962 the right of the women to vote, at the time he considered that this goes against Islam and it causes corruption, it generates corruption. He suddenly changed his position in 1979. So let's get back to the parliamentary elections in Iran. We have had 9 rounds of the assembly so far. We have had only 88 female representatives. And only from among groups that could go through all those filters that the other speakers talked about. So they constituted less than 3% of the total number of representatives elected during these parliamentary sessions. Today, women are asking for at least a 30% share in the elections, not only in the parliament, but also in municipal councils and other elections. Although women have progressed a lot in Iran in scientific fields, and they have gone further than men, they have advanced men, they have no equal rights with men in the elections. And sometimes their right to vote is used against them. In the Islamic Consultancy Council, we have women who are against women's rights. So women are excluded from decision-making spheres. Women in presidential elections, because of the existence of that term of political rajul or personality, have no right to be a candidate for presidential elections. And during the past 35 years, women have always tried to get this right, to acquire this right, but they have always been opposed by religious conservatives or even some normal, ordinary people, actually. So we can say that in Iran, there are no democratic elections, and people don't have the freedom, because participation in elections should be free. It's not only the right to vote. In Iran, when you have the right to vote, this right is used as a threat to you. For example, those who have the right to vote and they have the age to be admitted to university, close to the elections, normally there's a rumor going around that if you don't vote, you will not manage to get into the university. So there is an atmosphere of insecurity in the society, and many people, despite their free choice, they participate in elections because they think that their future actually is compromised if they don't participate. Dissidents or women or those who don't believe in the principle of guardianship of jurists and are excluded from the right to be elected or not eligible for this, these are 3 main obstacles to the right to be eligible. So atheists, they can vote, but they cannot present themselves as candidates. They are not eligible. So this means that the elections are not free as required for democratic elections. No woman has been admitted as a presidential candidate so far because of the Article 4 of the Constitution. As I told you, the elections in Iran are not free or democratic, and it's based on gender apartheid. Although the parliamentary elections so far and has been different from presidential elections and other elections, actually the elective approach to the presidential elections applies in the same way as in other elections. The selective approach is still there. As the other panelists explained, in presidential elections, the selective approach is much harsher. So I will summarize. I will end what I'm saying at the end. I would ask the participants and international organizations, especially the UN, I want to draw your attention to the fact that the Iranian women ask for at least 30% share in all the elections, parliamentary, municipal councils, and they also demand the right to be eligible for presidential elections. That since the beginning, actually inception of the Islamic Republic, women were demanding this right, and they have never managed so far to access this right. Thanks to all of you, and I hope that we will see the end of discrimination against women and inequality against women, especially in the countries that live under Islamic rules. They are discriminated against. Thanks to all of you who paid attention to what I said.